So in this screencast, we're going to look at some starter projects with the microbit. So we're going to look at how do we save our projects, where are they saved to, and then we're going to look at creating new projects. So the projects we're going to look at are, we're going to create a basic emojis project. So on button A pressed, we're going to show LEDs with a happy face. On button B pressed, we're going to show LEDs with a sad face. And on button A plus B pressed, we're going to show LEDs with an expressionless face. So that's our very first one. The next one we're going to look at is alternating emoji. So when the button A is pressed, we show a sad face, pause, and then show a happy face. And when the button B pressed, we're going to do it the opposite way around. And then the last one is going to be creating a random number. So it's picking a random number between 0 and 9. So we're here in makecode.com again, and we're in the project that we were in the last time around. Now we need to save this project. So if I go down to the bottom here, it has a name of Untitled. So I'm just going to make this, so I'm going to give it a name of Basics, and I'm just going to click Save on it. And what happens when you click Save, you'll notice here that it's got something here, it's got a download. And we'll look at how we can use that, because that's the download that we're actually going to use to put onto the actual physical microbit. So we'll have a look at that in a little while. But first I want to show you how to create a new project. So if I click on Projects here, it brings you back to where all of your projects are. So these are projects I've been working on before. So I'm just going to click on New Project here. And when you do that, it brings you into a brand new project. As I said, it has on Start and Forever in there. Now, a couple of things. If you click on the little settings icon here, click on More, that allows you to delete your project. So if you've got a project that really isn't working for you, you can just delete it there. And there's a few other things that you can have a look at in there. So the first thing I would generally do when I create a project is I'm going to name it. So the first one, as I mentioned, that we're going to do is we're going to look at some emojis. So I'm just going to call it Emojis. And then I'm going to click on Start here and get rid of it. Click on Forever and get rid of that. So what we had said we would do was that on button A pressed, we were going to show a happy face. On button B pressed, we were going to show a sad face. And on button A plus B pressed, we were going to show an expressionless face. So here I'm going to go to Input on button A pressed. And then I'm going to go to Basic, pull across to show LEDs. And I'm just going to very quickly draw a little happy face. So when A is pressed, we see a happy face. So I'm just going to test that as I go. Now I can right click on here and I can duplicate it and pull it down. You'll notice again that the second one is grayed out. Remember, that is because you can only have one block that has on button A pressed. So I'm just going to change the A to a B. And notice how it's not grayed out anymore. So this time I'm going to show a sad face instead of a smiley face. I'm just going to flip the smile upside down. So now I've got A pressed, it's got a smiley face, happy face. B, it's got a sad face. And then I'm just going to right click and duplicate that. And now I'm going to say button A plus B pressed. And this time I'm going to just have an expressionless face. So here I've got A, happy face, B, sad face, and then our A plus B here is an expressionless face. So now I've called that Emojis. I'm just going to save it here. And again, notice you get your downloads. Now I just want to show you one other thing. I had mentioned before that you can split between the blocks editor and the JavaScript. So here, if I click on JavaScript here, it's switching back into the JavaScript and it's just showing me what's happening within JavaScript. So it's got input dot on button pressed and it checks to make sure that that's button A. And then it's going to Basic and show LEDs and it's just showing which LEDs to switch on. You can see for button B pressed and for button A plus B what it's doing. So it's just a very easy way to flip between the two and see what's actually happening behind the scenes. So I'm just going to go back into my blocks editor here. So we've tested this now, and as I said, the A shows a happy, B shows a sad face, and A plus B shows an expressionless face. So the next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to put it onto an actual microbit. So a number of things we need to do. I've just saved it so it's downloaded it, but again, you can download it, so you can click download here and it'll just download another copy. What will happen there is, you see the way it has microbit emojis 1.hex. So here, move the hex file to the microbit drive to transfer. So that's what we need to do now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually plug in a microbit, and then we'll transfer it across. Now the thing about a microbit is it's quite small, so it doesn't have a whole pile of storage on it. So whenever you put something on there, that's all that's on there. So there's only one project on there at any one time. So I'm just connecting my microbit via USB, and then I'm going to go into my File Explorer, and then we'll have a look here. So if I go to File Explorer here and go to Downloads, you'll see I've got my microbit basics.hex there, and I also have my microbit emojis. Just make that a little bit smaller so that you can see what's happening. You'll also notice here that I've got microbit E, which is my E drive. So if I bring across my microbit basics.hex here and just drop it onto the microbit, you'll notice that it's copying it. And then once it's complete, so it's nearly there. So now it's complete, and what's happening now on my microbit, what you can see in my microbit is it's showing the number 0, because remember in that basics one, on start I said to show the number 0, and then all of that code is now on the microbit and you can test it on the microbit. I'm just going to copy across the microbit emojis.hex, and if I drop that onto the microbit, so that's now going to overwrite what I already had on there. And this is why it's really important that you give your projects a name that makes sense. So if you go into your downloads, it will always be prefaced by microbit dash and then whatever your project name is, and then you can copy that across. Now I've copied that across onto my microbit, and I'm pressing the button A and it has a happy face, button B has a sad face, and if I press the two of them together, I have an expressionless face, as I would expect. So the next project we're going to do is we're going to alternate between happy and sad faces. So I'm just going to go to projects again. I'm going to create a new project, and this one I'm going to call alternating emojis. So remember on this one what we had said we would do is we said we'd go for input, and on button A pressed we were going to show a sad face. I'm just going to get rid of the start, get rid of the forever. I'm just going to pull up the on button A pressed here. So I'm going to go to show icon. This time I'm going to show a happy face, and then I'm going to go for a pause. So I just need to find where that is. So it's in basics. So I'm just going to pause for 100 milliseconds, and then I'm going to go back in again, and I'm going to show a different icon this time. So I'm going to pull across show icon again, and this time I'm just going to go for a sad face. So here when I've got my A button pressed, so happy face followed by sad face. Then I'm going to replicate that, so duplicate it, drag it across, change the button A to button B, and this time I'm just going to move them around. So I'm going to have our sad face first, then our pause, and then our happy face. So this time button B pressed, sad face, then happy face, button A pressed, happy face, then sad face. Now it's hard to see that it's actually showing the happy face first on button A, but that's just what this code does. Again, I can save it, and there's my little hex file that I need to copy across to my microbit. I can go back in to my File Explorer, and now my alternating emojis is there in my downloads. I can drag that across onto the microbit, and now I should be able to have that particular program on the microbit. And when I press the button A, once this is complete, remember once it's complete you can take out the USB, and then all you need is just your microbit with the little battery pack, and then it'll work without that, so you don't have to have it connected to by USB all the time. So that's our second project, and then the final project that we're going to look at is picking a random number. So again, click projects here. Now just have a look at the projects. So these are the ones that I'm just after creating: the basics, the emojis, and the alternating emojis. So I'm going to go for a new project now, and the project I'm going to call it, I'm just going to call it random number. So we're going to pick a random number between 0 and 9. So here, if I just get rid of get rid of forever. So this time I'm going to go for input and I'm going to say on shake. So here I'm going to go back into basic and I want to show a number. So I'm just going to pull across show number 0, but I don't want to show number 0 here. I want to show a random number. So if you go into the math blocks here, you'll see there's a pick random 0 to 4. Now there's a couple of things you need to be aware of with this. When I'm picking a random number, I'm picking from 0 to something. I cannot change the 0. That is static. Can't change it. So here I want to pick a random number between 0 and 9. Now I'm just going to shake it first and just see what happens. So I shake and I get a 1. I shake it again and I get a 2. I shake it again and I get a 1 again, and a 0, and a 3, and hopefully finally a 4 in there somewhere. And there's my 4. So there's all my random numbers from 0 to 4. Now this time I wanted to have a random number from 0 to 9. So now I'll just click out of that. I'll shake again, and there's a 5, and a 2, and a 5 again, 0 and 9, and so on. So you can see the random numbers I'm getting. So that's how we pick a random number. So you could very easily code a dice from this one. Okay, so that's just some starter projects to get you started with Microbit. I hope that you found them useful, and we'll have a look in the next screencast at some variables and how we can use variables.